Yo guys, it's Hbox here again, and I wanted to go over what appears to be a good bit of evidence that's leaning towards the final DLC for Smash being leaked. Now, of course, you take all these with a grain of salt, as I always tell you, but, you know, in this case, whenever you get any sort of information that seems plausible enough, it's always good to keep an eye on it because you never know when it might actually be the case. And in this case, Screen Rant did an article on it that outlines it pretty well. So essentially, it indicates that Sora from Kingdom Hearts will be the final DLC because of a post that was made on 4chan, but back in July. And I think the date of that post is what makes things very, very interesting. So long story short, you know, the showcase for the new Ultimate character is happening October 5th at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Everyone's excited to see who it is because we had Sephiroth, we had Steve, Pyra/Mythra, Kazuya. There's a lot of characters it could be. There's been speculation left and right. And considering it is the last character, everyone's wondering, you know, how big of a bang Sakurai and Nintendo are going to go out with for Ultimate's last hurrah. And in general, there's a great video from Papa Geno, which I'll link in the description below, which goes over this, but I wanted to give, I guess, my angle on it. But long story short, there was a post on 4chan. The leak correctly predicted the showcase's aforementioned October 5th air date. It will be very hard to pull off given the fact that many had expected the final character to be revealed in September during the actual Nintendo Direct. So, in an earlier video, I had predicted right, like the day of, that there would be a Direct incoming at any second now. I posted the video, and 5 minutes later, Nintendo announced there would be a September Direct. And any leaker who would be making things up would say, oh, yeah, it's going to be a character, it's going to be revealed in September's Direct, haha, I'm so smart. This guy didn't say that. He said it October, and then went further and said October 5th. So somehow he knew of the date. So this kind of gets validity when you think about it. So the post in question is right here. Basically just says, anonymous, Friday the 30th, July 2021. Actual info here, I work for Disney Music. Nintendo called last week to request rights to several tracks from Kingdom Hearts to use in a digital event on October 5th. Sora is last Smash character. Complete shot in the dark here, but the date it was posted, you can't ignore that. 30th of July. I mean, almost 2 months ago, right? And that takes some... That's a pretty big shot in the dark if you're going to consider it. So this guy did predict the date correctly. Now, what does that mean for everything else? Again, I suggest you watch Papa Geno's video on this. He basically goes along and says that the Walt Disney music, company, that is more plausible than someone just saying, oh, my dad works on Nintendo or Disney or whatever it is. Like, it's a subsidiary and it's a smaller company, and it could be more verifiable truth in that case. And I also like the part where he went over the fact that, there was a guy named Imran Khan who right there, if you look at his posts on Twitter, he actually leaked Min, M-I-N in these posts that happened in June 20th, 2020, which is kind of like weird that some people know ahead of time. But this is the same guy who said that Nintendo wanted Sora in Smash Bros. And Disney vetoed it. So if the Disney veto actually happens, again, that's an article from February 7th, 2021 or 2020, well over a year and a half ago. But all we can really hang on to here is the fact that this guy managed to make this prediction accurate on the date of the character. So all that being said, I like what they say here. With any league of nature, it's important to set expectations low to avoid disappointment. He's been one of the longest requested newcomers for Nintendo's All-Star Fight title, so ending on that note will be a welcome one, especially considering how other final reveals like Byleth were poorly received by the Smash Bros. Community. I think Nintendo wants to save some sort of face, and of course their PR really hasn't been great, especially in the Smash community, and in, the fact that they, put the release date of this DLC character the exact same release date as Nick All-Stars. Whether intentional or not, I feel like it was intentional. But if this leak is true, maybe it wasn't intentional, and that date was set in stone a long, long time ago. I think if it is Sora, this guy was right, and Nintendo was not trying to step on Nickelodeon's toes. It's kind of funny that depending on what character it is, we're going to find out whether or not Nintendo was trying to sabotage Nick All-Stars on purpose. That's kind of funny how that works out. So the thing is, there's only so many characters that could make that big of a bang to be Smash Bros.'s final DLC. Sora is definitely one of them. Master Chief is one of them. And, how do you round off Ultimate? How do you round off the Sakurai arc of Smash Bros. This begs another question as to whether or not it'll be the last game in the series, but realistically, I don't think it will be. I think that's a fat chance, honestly, and I don't really see it happening. But I will say, like, you know, there will be other Smash games, but it's probably not under Sakurai's direction. It simply is too profitable of a game for Nintendo to not do that. But all that being said, it wouldn't be the first time we've been surprised, and with the sort of inclusivity of the game, it would be a great final selection. Here is the big problem of this, and one of the things that I agree with a lot of people who are talking about this. If Sora is included in Smash Bros, inevitably, it's going to have, obviously, music from the game. It's going to have Mii costumes. It's going to have a stage. It's going to have a lot of Disney stuff, right? Remember the cardinal rule of Smash Bros. There's one thing that's cardinal over everything else. Smash character has to be from a video game first, and solely a video game. It can't be a TV show character or a movie character that was then put into a video game. It has to be a video game character. That's what rules out characters like Goku, like SpongeBob, like Shrek. As funny as they would be, it's actually just completely against, like, the rule of Smash. Like, the rules are bended and twisted, but that one, to me, is like, that one will not be broken. So that narrows it down significantly in that case. The issue here is, though, Sora, you can't have Sora without some inclusion of Disney characters, right? Of Donald and Goofy. And just by having them even be, like, maybe assist of the character, maybe a thing where, you know, you can switch them out. Maybe it will be a thing like, what's it called? Where you can switch from Sora to Goofy or Donald, something like that. Like you can do with Steve, Alex, Enderman, Zombie. That can't be the case because of that rule. So that already rules that out. And if you're already ruling out the appearance of Donald or Goofy in the game as characters, then you start to whittle down the possibility of it actually being Sora, because it feels like you're removing a lot of what makes him that character by not having those, especially at least for a Final Smash. What the hell else would Sora's Final Smash be if not some inclusion of Disney characters? So with that being said, it does hurt the theory a good bit, but one last time, this is the last DLC. And could Sakurai just break his own rule for one last time to really cement it as, you know, one of the greatest fighting games, if not one of the greatest games series of all time, with so many IPs, it's actually hard to believe. The only other game that's, you know, comparable with that many IPs would be Fortnite, and, you know, Fortnite's still being actively updated and still has all sorts of characters coming to it, left and right. Nintendo, it's a bit more difficult for it to happen, I feel. But this being said, I have to think that the final character won't be Sora still because of that rule. This could be just a very accurate guess that was a lie. That could happen. I mean, we've seen the Grinch leak. The Grinch leak was one of the most, it seemed like one of the most realistic leaks we've ever had for a game, and it ended up just being completely false. So this could be one of those, you know, trails that have a dead end. I still think Phoenix Wright is more realistic, but the problem with that is that Phoenix Wright isn't as big of a bang as you would want for a final character. Sora is, but seems less probable. So I gotta find some other theory or character to rely on that would be big enough to be that significant, but also follows the rules. So, I don't know. That would be more like Master Chief territory. That's a whole nother story. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this leak. Of course, my video is just one of many on this topic. I just want to give you my thoughts on it. You've probably already seen this before. And I will say, guessing the date correctly, that far behind, pretty impressive. So we'll see what happens. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.